Awesome. And I'm going to start by introducing the people in our room. So, from the Federation side, my name is Mia Liang. I'm one of the urban planners. Joining us from the Federation is Reyes, another urban planner as well. And from the city side, we have Matthew Atkinson, who is the project lead of the Rezoning for Housing Amendments, the project lead Liu Ping for the Guide for Small Scale Housing, as well as Ariam, who is the engagement unit who's supporting the staff on this project as well. So I'm going to give it off to Ariane to share her presentation, everybody. Thank you very much.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Yeah, if you could load up the presentation.
For sure.
That would be great. So as mentioned, my name is Matt Atkinson, and with me is Yuping and Ariam. We're here as part of the project team who is creating the Guide for Small Scale Housing at the City of Calgary.
While they're pulling up the presentation, I can talk a little bit about the purpose of the education. So this education session will be a tutorial about how to navigate the creating the guide for small scale housing. So Ariam and Matt and Yuping will also walk through the brief overview of the guide, how to provide the feedback, areas of focus for the guide, the engagement questions, the project timelines, as well as the next step. And then the session will end with a question period for the attendees to ask questions about how you navigate and how do you provide your feedback as well. So I see the presentation's up, so good timing. So I'll pass it over to the city team.
Okay, I was like, it's working, right?
Yeah, you can start the slideshow.
Sorry, Arian?
You can start the slideshow on there just so it just goes full screen.
I did. Is it not showing it full screen?
No. Sorry, sorry everyone here. We're usually on Microsoft Teams, so this is different for us here.
Let's I'm gonna have to reshare it. Oh my gosh. I love technical difficulties. Let me try this one. There. Does that work?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Well, hopefully it gave a couple more people time to get in, but yeah, we are with the project team who is creating the Guide for Small Scale Housing at the City of Calgary. And we were invited by the Federation of Calgary Communities to host this education session for the Community Association Network. We have created a short presentation to go over the key details of this project, and then we'll open up the session for questions. Before we begin, we will share a land acknowledgement, then look at the agenda for this presentation. Pass it over to Ariam.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So we'd like to take this opportunity to appreciate and acknowledge that we are gathered on the ancestral lands and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which is made up of the Siksika, Piikani, Amskapiikani, and the Kainai First Nations, and the Yistka, Nakota, Wet'suwet'en First Nations, which is comprised of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nation, and the Tsuut'ina First Nation. The City of Calgary is also homeland to the historic Northwest Métis and the Otipemisiwak Métis government. That includes the Métis National Battle River Territory, Nose Hill Métis District 5, and Elbow Métis District 6. And we acknowledge all Indigenous people who have made Calgary their home. The city is guided by the White Goose Flying Report, the city's response to the findings of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and the Indigenous Policy, a council-approved policy which outlines meaningful ways forward where we can build common ground. We are beginning to explore and better understand and act on our shared foundations with Indigenous peoples. And so while discussions continue regarding our own actions and efforts, the city is committed to beginning to actively explore ways to redefine our understandings, our assumptions, our relationships, and our abilities to build a more inclusive and equitable city based on shared foundations.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So today we'll be covering a brief overview of the guide, the areas of focus for the guide, how to provide feedback, engagement questions, project timelines, and next steps. Just a reminder that we are not collecting feedback during this education session. This is about providing information and answering any clarifying questions. However, we will share how you can provide feedback in this presentation. We'll be going through the presentation as shown on the agenda. This won't take too long. And after, there will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions. So you can share your questions just by writing them in the chat, or at the end, you can raise your hand and you can ask your questions directly at that time. So why is the guide being created? The guide is being created to clarify existing rules and regulations, as well as to help enhance the design of small-scale housing. It is council directed as part of the recommendations passed at the time of citywide rezoning. The existing rules and regulations include the Municipal Development Plan, local area plans, and the Land Use Bylaw 1P 2007. While existing policy and bylaws like the Land Use Bylaw contain regulations that address all of the elements of a development that will be featured in the guide, it does not always address the design of these elements. The rules in the bylaw generally provide an area that can be developed within, providing rules that outline minimums and/or maximums. The guide will provide a further level of guidance on the location, function, and look and feel of a new development. So the type of building forms that will be informed by the guide are row house, townhouse, and front-back semi-detached. Generally, the guide will inform small-scale housing that has 3 or more units. Each of the examples shown on screen include 4 units and 4 suites. Row houses are usually seen on the corner parcel of a street, with all units requiring a door facing the street. Townhouses are usually seen mid-block, where the units closer to the street have a door facing the street, and the rear 2 units have a door facing the amenity space in the rear. Front-back semi-detached is a design that has 2 separate buildings with 2 units in each. The buildings are separated by an amenity space in between the buildings. Please note the illustrations above are artist renderings of small-scale housing forms and are intended for illustrative purposes. So how will the guide be used? The guide is intended to be used by applicants to design and plan new developments that align with best practices and the City of Calgary standards. City staff will use the guide to consistently review and evaluate development applications, to provide constructive feedback and ensure compliance with the regulations. It is also intended to be used by members of the public to help guide and understand development expectations, participate in outreach opportunities, and advocate for quality outcomes in their community. So to support the development of the guide, we are focusing on 6 areas. The areas of focus significantly impact how new developments look, feel, and function, as well as how well developments fit into the community. They are also what city planners use as a lens when reviewing new development proposals to help ensure that projects are thoughtfully designed, meet community needs, and align with city policies. Site layout is how everything is arranged on a property to support functionality, livability, and integration with the surrounding community. It includes buildings, landscaping, walkways, parking, and amenity spaces. Building form plays a large role in how new development feels, both on its own and as part of the neighborhood. This includes the shape, size, details, and configuration of structures on the site, including their height, massing, and relationship to the street and adjacent properties. Amenity space includes private or shared outdoor areas designed to enhance residents' quality of life by providing places for recreation, relaxation, and social interaction. Landscape design can enhance the livability and ecological value of small residential sites by organizing outdoor spaces integrating planting and stormwater features, and defining public and private areas through thoughtful design. Surfacing ensures that infrastructure elements like waste and recycling, utilities, and access routes are efficiently integrated and considered to support functionality and aesthetics in small-scale housing developments. Sustainable design and climate resiliency focuses on incorporating environmentally responsible practices that reduce energy use, manage stormwater, and prepare homes for climate-related impacts. I'm going to pass it over to Ariam to go over how you can provide feedback.
So hi, everyone. So to provide feedback for creating the guide for small scale housing, we have options available between August 18 and September 15. The first is you can go to our project website, which is calgary.ca/small scale guide. And that's where you'll be able to find all details about this project, including the questions that we'll share in the next slide at the bottom of that page. You can also complete the feedback form on the last page of the engagement booklet and drop it into the mail. It has prepaid postage, so the questions are also, the same questions are also in that engagement booklet, which is actually available in different locations throughout the city for pickup. So we have a list on the project website, and I'll share the link in just a moment. And the last thing is that you can also attend an in-person conversation session. And so we have two, the first being tomorrow at the Bridgeland Riverside Community Association. And registration is required. We have different time blocks where 10 people at a time can come join per hour, and so that they can have dedicated time to ask questions, to review the content, and then even provide your feedback in person. The next in-person session is on Thursday, September 11th at Banff Trail Community Association. And registration is available on Eventbrite, and that link is also available on the project website. And so what I'll do next on the next slide here is actually share my screen, and hopefully this won't be missing here, but we'll go through the website just so you can see all the content. Again, the guide has not been created or anything like that yet, but this is what we're doing right now, is gathering feedback to support the creation of that guide. And the project website is an opportunity to be able to look at all that information and provide your feedback. So yes. So Matt, I'll be taking over.
That's good.
There it is. Okay. My apologies. I don't know why it's giving me trouble, but I'm gonna window the entire screen.
Stop sharing. Maybe that will help.
Let me try again. There it is. Okay. Are you able to see the screen here?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is the project website. This is the long form, but you simply all need to add in is calgary.ca/small scale guide, and it'll lead you to this project website. The tools this is just a tool for us to gather feedback. As I mentioned, there's other options on how you can provide feedback to help create the guide. And so we have, when you scroll down, welcome message, which just goes over the kind of preliminary information similar to what Matt shared here. We share that feedback is available or open to submission until September 15th, and the different options how you can do that. There's a link here for the pickup locations, and you can take a look there. It's not going to open up if I show it here. You're only going to be able to see my main screen, but there's a list here, but it's also down here on the right sidebar where there's resources and links. This is a list of different pickup locations for engagement booklets. But going into or continuing on this page here, we also encourage you to sign up for project updates, and you can subscribe by either clicking here where it says there. But we also have a nice little bar or tool right here where you can just click on the button to subscribe for project updates and be added to our email subscription list. When you go down further on the page, again, main content, why are we creating the guide? Matt kind of explained that already, who the guide is for, and then what are the different building forms, which was just explained in this presentation. We then get into the areas of focus that Matt went through as well. And so we have the small scale guide will be focusing on these 6 key areas, as Matt mentioned. To get more detail about each of those 6 areas, you just click on the tabs here. So site layout opens up. You see the image and the related considerations for each of that. And you can do that for each of the different areas of focus. And then is the share your feedback portion here. As mentioned, or we're mentioning it now actually, is that the 6 areas of focus is where we're looking to get feedback on. You do not have to provide feedback for all 6, just for those that you have feedback for. And so let's say you're just interested in providing feedback on site layout and servicing. So it's great on the project website. All you have to do is click on those 2. And then the next step is it will start with the first one you clicked, which is site layout, and share the same 3 questions. Then you submit, you write in your answers. There's no maximum here. You can write as much as you'd like in terms of what are the most important considerations for small scale housing in relation to site layout. Same here. What are the challenges or issues, and how can this be integrated best into your community? Next, it'll give you the next topic, which is servicing that you clicked, or I clicked on, and the same 3 questions. So we want you to provide your feedback based on those different areas of focus for these 3 questions there. Then when you're done, it will let you see, review all your answers. And so for site layout, as I didn't type anything out, it says no answer. Same thing for servicing. You tell them you're not a robot, and then you submit. I'm not going to submit just because I didn't write anything in here. But that's it there. There's no time limit on how long you have to submit or take to write your answers in. But that is the form or the survey available on the project website. We also have a timeline, which we'll share in a moment, but there is more information on this this sidebar here, including the sessions I mentioned, the conversation sessions. So there's 2 in person, one being tomorrow at the Bridgeland Community Association. Here's a link to register. If you click on that, it'll lead to the Eventbrite where you can sign up for the 1-hour time block for between 3 to 7 p.m. We also have a second in-person session on Thursday, September 11th. Same thing. You click here to register on Eventbrite, and then you sign up for the time block that you're interested in. We also have a virtual option that's happening on Monday, September 8th, and there's 2 time blocks. It's 20 people per one. Just again, we're trying to prioritize being able to let people ask questions. And then, I don't know why I went to the bottom of the page, but then same thing to register. You just click here, and then you choose one of the 2 time blocks available for that virtual sessions. We have some links here that you can click on. So this leads you to the calgary.ca website that speaks to the rezoning for housing council decision amendments. So that's where you'll find the council direction for this work. We also have a digital copy of the engagement booklet if you're looking to look at that. And so the other part is, I mentioned there's a list of the pickup locations for the engagement booklet. Once I stop sharing, I'm going to send those links over for the pickup location. So if you wanted to see where nearby you can pick up physical copies of the engagement booklets, it will be in this list. And then I'll also send the links for the next 2 in-person sessions. Lastly, we do have, and we'll share this again in the presentation, we have a project email that you can send us messages or email if you have any questions there. And then similarly, I mentioned just earlier at the top of sharing this, is that we also have an email subscription list where you can sign up and you'll get updates from our team as they're available. And so I'll just stop sharing there. I'll provide the links I mentioned.
Going back to the PowerPoint. I think you already covered this. Do you want to go over the 3 questions being asked in every area?
Yeah, for sure. So the creating the guide for small scale housing is where we have 3 key questions. They are open-ended, but we'll mention this in a moment, but this is the first phase of engagement for this project. We are trying to understand different concerns, experiences, and challenges and opportunities with these type of building forms and in relation to the 6 areas of focus. So as I showed when I was sharing my screen, you have those 6 options. You can tell us for site layout, for building form, for landscape design, and answer the same 3 questions there, just so that the project team has a broader understanding of your concerns, your challenges, your important considerations, and your understanding of how best to integrate those building design elements into your neighborhood. Whether it's on the engagement booklet, in person at one of the conversation sessions, or online, these are the same 3 questions that you'll be seeing, and we'll always be referencing them in relation to the 6 areas of focus.
Awesome. Thanks for going over that. As Arima alluded to earlier, we have a project timeline. So we've already done some feedback gathering with the zoning bylaw engagement sessions that were held earlier this year. We attended most of the pop-ups that were set up by them with additional information there. And then were included in the questions that were asked about small-scale housing with the zoning bylaw. So we have information there. However, we wanted to have our own separate engagement more targeted to the areas of focus. And that's what this round of engagement is. And so it's running from August to September. And in the fall will be a draft guide will be completed, and public engagement to gather feedback on the guide will be done in November of this year. And then in spring 2026, the guide will be finalized next year. So the next steps, again, after we close out this round of engagement on September 15th, we will be completing a draft of the guide, which will then be available to the public. And we're going to be receiving feedback on that guide in November of this year. And to stay informed, we're hoping that everyone can subscribe to the website. Again, you can click that at calgary.ca/small scale guide. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to our project team for further information as well. We have an email. It's smallscaleguide@calgary.ca.
I think it's on the next slide as well, but I did provide in the chat the link to the email subscription list so that you can sign up, as well as the project website link.
With that, that's the end of our presentation, and we'll move over to questions. Ariam, I might rely on you to kind of go through them and help me out with some of them in the chat, if that works.
Perfect. For sure. So I'll just go to the top, but as we mentioned, you can also raise your hand and directly ask us some questions, and we'll be able to answer those. So let's go here. So first question I saw here is there a link to the guide, or it has not been published yet? The guide has not been created yet. So as mentioned, and you probably saw it already, but the first draft of the guide will be available later in the fall of 2025, which will be the next phase of engagement, and that the public can review and provide comments on or feedback on as well. And so the guide has not been created yet. Physical copies of the engagement booklet, as I see the next question, are available at different pickup locations. I provided the link in the chat, but it is linked, that list of pickup locations is linked on the project website. So you can take a look. It's in the welcome message and also in the resources and links tab on the right sidebar. Yes, and so we also have and I see that you're saying it's frustrating to do things online. Absolutely, we did want to provide different options so that it wasn't required that you had to provide feedback online. We do have the other 2 in-person sessions, and I'll send those links in just a moment into the chat as well. But they are on the project website on the right sidebar. Similarly, if there is any community members that you're identifying or others that are looking to chat with us and might have digital barriers, please let us know and connect with us. We can set up conversations with them if those 2 in-person sessions do not work, or if they're unable to access the physical engagement guide available near them based on the list of pickup locations. The next question I see here is, why do they refer to a small scale housing when it's far larger building envelope than a single or semi-detached housing? I'm going to pass this to Matt, as he's our subject matter expert here. But did you see that question? Why do they refer it to as small scale housing when it's far larger building envelope than single or semi-detached housing? Oh, and sorry, I see you ping also.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, Yuping, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned in the chat, single family housing, semi-detached housing, row house, and the townhouses. This kind of housing are all grouped as a low density residential district in the land use bylaw. So we consider all these types of different housing as small scale housing. Because the condos, you see the residential towers, they are much bigger scale than these types of housing types. Yeah, anything to add, Matt?
No, I think that was a good overview. They are all building forms in the RCG district, which is what the guide was aimed at. And so it's implementing that land use district and again, those housing forms, the row house, townhouse, and front back semi. There is an existing guide that deals more so with the single and semi-detached housing forms that is in place. So.
All right, let's go to the next question here. We have a question saying, will the guide be binding?
Yeah, I can take that one. So the guide will be, again, utilized by planners and applicants, and very hopefully the public as well in responding to comments. The policies within the guide have to conform to the land use bylaw, it contains the high level of rules and regulations, but the guide will be utilized by planners during their review. Because it's a guide, the statements in it will be on the should scale versus the shall scale, where it's directing applicants to provide certain types of housing. We haven't landed on the language, of course, because we haven't fully written the guide at this time. We're still in the early stages of it. But it will be utilized in the review process. Current guides are also used oftentimes by the SDAB in their review of applications as well.
Thanks, Matt. The next question I see here is referencing the engagement time period, acknowledging that August is a time when people are away, and that most would be aware. This project is going into mid-September. For the engagement booklets, we are accepting them as they are coming in till the end of month. And so it's just giving time for the project team to start that first draft of the booklet, or the guide, sorry. I appreciate though, and that might be a tough piece there, but we do have a communications plan. There is social media and other communication channels being targeted. So you might have seen Facebook ads, you might have seen X or other social media platforms sharing about this, just so that we can have different ways of connecting and informing the public that this is going on right now, and that there's an opportunity to inform the creation of the first draft before we go into a second phase of engagement. As mentioned by Matt and myself earlier, the second phase of engagement, which will be happening in late fall, we're giving time after the election, the municipal election, to be clear. is still an opportunity to give feedback and something a little more concrete, where you'll have a draft guide to review, to provide comments, and chat again with the project team to clarify what's in there and what makes sense based on what your understanding, as well as what your concerns and opportunities for the creation of this guide. Right now, I see the next question in relation to the Quarry Park Remington Library. So there, we reached out to the libraries that were within the developed neighborhoods or established neighborhoods within the city. And so even the Central Library has copies, but we're open to dropping off library or booklets at different locations as well. We had just in that document there, we are updating it as requests come in to have additional pieces, but based on just where these type of building forms are typically found in our city, which is the developed neighborhoods. We targeted those areas or those wards. But if there is interest in us putting or sharing engagement booklets and postcards at the Quarry Park Remington Library, we can definitely do that. Fair enough. And so I will note that, and we can reach out to them. The library's been really great in terms of accepting, and they have an internal system actually that they've submitted, grabbed all the booklets from us and circulated to those identified libraries. Let me go here. Thank you. All right. And yes, if Joanne, I see that you're saying you're taking screenshots for the links. She's gone here. If Federation, if you do know Joanne a bit more, let us know if she's having any challenges reaching links or just accessing some of the digital and virtual opportunities. We are absolutely happy to make sure that we can just connect with anyone who's interested, and especially if they have any barriers to providing feedback or wanting to prefer to go on in person, we can even help with setting up that registration. Okay. So sorry about that, Lorraine, but what I have it noted here, and we probably within the next couple of days can make sure that there is engagement booklets copy available at that library at the Quarry Park. It wasn't identified on our list, but thank you for flagging that for us, and so we can make sure that that's included. Similarly, you don't have to use a chat if you'd like. You could. Is there a raise hand function on Zoom? I think sometimes perfect. So if you want to just unmute yourself or raise your hand and unmute yourself, you can directly ask us questions.
I have a question. I am just following up with a note from one of the participants about, we are working hard on this guide and we are collecting feedback, but at the end is a guide. And so if the applicant choose not to apply the principles of this guide, how is the community gaining that sense of comfort when they use the guide and apply it to the review of different applications?
Yeah, good question again. So city planners will be using the guide in their review as well. And so it will make up part of the comments that are sent to the applicant for revisions. It is going to be kind of a best practice document along with recommendations on all of those areas of focus. So it doesn't necessarily fit every site. So it will have to be applied on a site-by-site basis, but that's up to the applicant and the planner to review and comment and provide that. And then also when the public is providing comments through our DMAP system or otherwise, they can utilize the guide and even reference it to provide to even help bolster their comments as well and say, hey, look, this is in here. We're seeking this outcome, and it should be that way as outlined by City of Calgary policy as well. So yeah, it's going to be a multi-pronged use, again, from applicants, city planners, and even the community.
Okay. I see a question here. I have a question about LAPs, as I believe this is slightly related to LAPs. Are LAPs statutory documents? I noticed that maybe the city of Calgary is referring to them as statutory, but looked in the MGA and LAPs do not seem to be included in the list of statutory documents. So I just wanted clarification on that. To confirm, the MGA states statutory plan means an intermunicipal development plan, a municipal development plan, an area structure plan, and an area redevelopment plan adopted by a municipality division 4. I don't know, Yuping or Matt, do you want to? Yuping, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can take this question. Yeah, as you said, Sarah, is MGA recognized area redevelopment plan as a statutory plan. Local area plans actually is an area redevelopment plan. That's just the new name for ARPs. Yeah, but it's the same statutory status as ARP.
And then the only other thing to say is that local area plans are a level of policy, but they don't apply everywhere, where this guide is going to apply to all of the established area, with it applying to all RCG lots, and this type of, I guess, like those 3 types of development. So this guide will be broader than the local area plans, but the local area plans definitely have some policy on design and things like that as well. So there is relation, and we'd be looking to implement those policies further, but this guide will apply wider than those local area plans.
Okay, again, I didn't see I can't find the emoji to raise your hand. So again, our frustration always comes back how all these new guides keep making reference to a local area plan, where there's maybe 1/3 of the city of Calgary that has them in place. So it's kind of almost an insult to the rest of us, because it's refer to your local area plan. Well, then any DP for our community should be referring to our 1995 our existing ARP, and they're not. So there's a lot of frustration, and for good reasons. Like, if you want to talk about local area plan, then make sure that every community has one. Otherwise, it's such almost like a slap in the face to keep reading about it, and so few communities have one.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at, is that this guide will apply to all established area communities that are designated RCG. So the idea is not to implement one local area plan, but to build off of some of the policies and ideas in there, and to kind of further refine the ideas through the guide as well. So this will apply to kind of citywide established areas, RCG areas, and it won't matter if you have a local area plan or not, other than you still apply those local area plan policies beyond this guide as well.
For sure. I don't know, Yuping, if that like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's I know every community wants their updated statutory policy. The local area plan team is adopt a new ways of doing area restructure plan or local area plan to combine multiple communities together. So sometimes over 10 communities combined together to develop the local area plan. So it would be a much faster process than before, to have every community has their own local area plan if they don't have it now.
Thank you, Yuping, and hopefully, Lorraine, that answers your question. I do see that Pat was following up to, I think, what you were saying earlier, Matt, saying, if I understand your response, if the planner and or applicant does not adhere to the guideline, it's null and void.
Maybe I need some clarification on this one, but the guide will be in place, and of course the planners and hopefully the applicants are following it. But there are certain circumstances where a site design, because of certain conditions or neighboring properties or things like that, where they are not following the guide. There may be circumstances where that applies, but hopefully most of the guide is followed on most applications. But of course, there's going to be locations and site-specific things where the guide won't be able to be followed to a T, but we will be trying to implement it as best we can through the application review.
Thank you, Matt. Is that just maybe my echo? Sorry, I was like, is someone talking? We have another question here that's specific to legacy. So it says, I have a question that is legacy specific. I had thought that the blanket rezoning applied to legacy. However, I was talking with a neighbor the other day and they said that they need to apply for rezoning just to have a secondary suite in their basement. Are there plans to include legacy and other newer neighborhoods in that rezoning so people do not have to rezone their properties just for a basement suite? So legacy, I think, is one of the, it's like further.
Yeah, I will have to follow up with you, Sarah, because I think it should have taken care of that. There are very specific things like direct control districts that weren't all rezoned, but even the developing areas were also rezoned to RG. So
yeah, I have an email actually, so I can
specifically.
definitely follow up with you on that. I actually emailed the planner because there was like a rezoning on my neighbor's property, and I was just like really curious about that. And yeah, I'll just follow up with you after the fact, because like I honestly like don't really, as a community association president, I don't really have like an opinion one way or the other. However, there's just like a lot of confusion and people are asking me like, does this apply? Does this not apply? So I'd love to be able to answer them. So yeah, I'll just follow up with you after.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Just a quick question about the pickup of the documents that you said you'd see about Quarry Park Library. Our general meeting is on September 2nd. So I would want to have copies at that meeting.
Sure.
So
absolutely. Yeah, the email, you have a small scale guide at calgary.ca. So if you want to email me, but I could even reach out, like if you're at the hall, like I wrote down Quarry Park. I'm just going to go there and drop off booklets in the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, I'm Ogden, so Milliken Ogden, but when I looked at that's our closest library, and there were no libraries listed in our area.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, it wasn't every library. It was just libraries identified within some of the developed neighborhoods, but that's totally fair if we missed that. And we're open to, we did make sure that we had extra copies so that we can distribute more if people are requesting them. So I'm happy to drop off some at that library, as well as provide some for your September 2nd. You said your board meeting, right? Or
yeah, the general meeting. So
EGM. Okay, sorry for that. Absolutely. We're here right now. How many would you like for the AGM?
It's not the AGM. It's just our monthly
general meeting.
Yeah. So
fair enough.
Probably 30 copies.
For sure. I'll have some put away for aside for you, and I can reach out to you separately, or if you want to email us directly at Small Scale Guide, I can start responding to you there. But we can figure out a coordination or a drop off date, and I'll make sure you can get that sooner than September 2nd even. So
thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Wonderful. So I think there's no more questions. So thank you again from the city of staff on behalf of the Federation, and thank you for the community members who joined us on such short notice. As a reminder, we are recording this session so other people and other community associations have the same knowledge and as well have the same resources to email out to the small scale guide to understand and ask clarifying questions as well as to put on the survey as well. But thank you again, and if you have any questions, please reach out to myself or Afra, or as well using the small scale guide email.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone attending. We appreciate it and hope to hear your feedback.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.